Discover how a little girl's heartwarming touch transformed a CEO's life in just 30 seconds. John Thompson sat in the swankiest restaurant in the Chicago suburb, staring blankly at the polished table. He was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation, a man of influence and respect. But deep down, amidst the applause and clinking of glasses, he felt a hollow pit in his chest, a very private loneliness wrapped in the trappings of success. The laughter of his colleagues around him echoed like a distant memory, far removed from the warmth of family dinners and bedtime stories with his children. As the sun streamed in through the window, illuminating half of his face, John felt like a ghost haunting his own life. The annual community fundraiser was buzzing with energy, yet he was lost. John drifted through the crowd, surrounded by luxury but yearning for those simple joys that now felt like shadows in the background. And then he saw her. A 10-year-old girl with bright eyes and a contagious smile, surrounded by colorful handmade signs clumsily scrawled with bold letters, "Save Our Art Program." Emma. Her name danced on the air as she animatedly detailed her dreams for the school's arts program. Her cheeks flushed with excitement, and her eyes sparkled like stars. Listening to her, John felt an inexplicable tug at his heart. She wasn't just advocating for art, she was showcasing hope. His chest tightened as memories flashed, his children drawing, creating, laughing. When was the last time he had watched their imaginations unfold? Every penny helps. My mom says art can make dreams come true. Emma proclaimed, waving her signs passionately as if the world depended on it. That innocent determination cracked through the fortified walls John had built around himself. He was captivated. There was something genuine about her spark, a stark contrast to the corporate ladder he had climbed, leaving behind the ones he loved. As she spoke of her immigrant family's sacrifices, a weight descended on John. He felt guilty. The realization that his privileges had come at a cost gnawed at him. The pursuit of financial success had blinded him to the struggles of others. Here was this little girl, teeming with ambition, reminding him of the very values he had abandoned. Before he could fully digest these feelings, a shattering truth struck him hard when his phone buzzed with urgent notifications. A marketing disaster was brewing at his company, threatening not only its reputation but also the precious program Emma so dearly held. Panic seized him. As jaws dropped around him during the tense meeting that followed, it was Emma's grandmother who quietly offered comfort. The old woman's words resonated: resilience is built on connections. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the crisis looming, John felt torn. He could follow his corporate instincts or embrace this newfound connection and fight for Emma and her community. His feet felt rooted to the ground, hands trembling, pulse racing. Would he be the ruthless businessman they expected, or the empathetic leader Emma had unveiled within him? Everyone's eyes were on him, waiting for a decision that could shatter or rebuild lives. As silence filled the room, John pondered the true cost of success. In that moment, he began to question everything he knew about himself. Would he risk it all for a little girl's dream? With the stakes rising, John knew he was standing at a precipice, facing the most important decision of his life, a choice that could change everything. The tension in the air felt thick, almost electric. John's heart raced as the faces around him blurred into a sea of uncertainty. The whispers grew louder, the silence more pronounced, and he could feel the collective gaze of his colleagues probing for his response. All those nights spent chasing profits and accolades suddenly felt trivial against the backdrop of Emma's hopeful smile and pure ambition. It was as if time stood still, allowing him a moment of radical clarity. He remembered the excitement on Emma's face, the way her passion lit the room, illuminating shadows he had grown all too familiar with. Every element of corporate life he once valued fell away, replaced by a yearning to protect that spark. Resilience is built on connections, her grandmother's voice echoed in his mind. The truth in those words wrapped around his heart like a warm hug. He could either continue down the path of indifference or choose to forge a connection that could change lives, his own included. With a deep breath, John squared his shoulders. The crisis. His company faced a looming disaster, yet it was in this very disaster that he saw an opportunity, a chance to turn his focus outward. He spoke, voice steady but resolute. We can't let this define us. Our reputation hinges not just on profit margins but on what impact we choose to have. He locked eyes with Emma's glowing expression among the crowd. We must support the arts program, he continued, each word growing stronger, fueled by the passion he once buried. It represents hope, creativity, and community, a reminder that success should uplift others, not just ourselves. He could see the initial shock on his colleagues' faces. Some were confused, others intrigued. In this moment, standing at such a crucial intersection, John felt alive in a way he hadn't seen in years. The murmurs around him began to transform. Energy shifted from surprise to a new kind of determination that spread like wildfire. His chief financial officer, a reserved woman named Linda, surprised him by chiming in, I believe we can allocate funds for this initiative. We need to reassess our marketing strategies anyway. Her voice wavered slightly but held a newfound strength. Cheers erupted from one corner of the room as others began to support John's proposal, igniting enthusiasm he never expected among his colleagues. Names flew: local artists, community leaders, and family members who had supported Emma's dream all began pouring into the conversation, brainstorming ideas to promote and finance the program. As he absorbed the joy emanating from those gathered, John felt a mix of relief and elation. He had deflected a bleak corporate move, replacing it with something much grander: community connection, empathy, and purpose. Emma's bright storefront of hope was now a part of both his life and the people who depended on him. Despite the chaos, he noticed Emma watching from the sidelines, admiration and pride lighting up her innocent face. The weight pressing on his chest began to lift as he realized he had finally turned a corner. But with the enthusiasm came an unsettling thought. Could he truly follow through? Was he prepared for the inevitable challenges that lay ahead? As the excitement bubbled in the room, John felt the fire of transformation burn brightly within him. But the question lingered: would this ignite a lasting change, or would it burn out like so many of his past endeavors? And just then, as John prepared to address the crowd, his phone buzzed again, urgent messages flooding in from his team. An unexpected twist that might throw everything they had built off course. What was waiting for him on the other side? John glanced at his phone, heart racing once more. The screen lit up with a flurry of messages from his team, the words blurring as the adrenaline surged through him. He quickly skimmed through them, a series of frantic updates about broken contracts, client reactions, and most alarmingly, a potential investor threatening to withdraw their support. His mind raced. The moment of victory he had just grasped felt like it was slipping away, replaced by a cold sweat. He had sparked hope among his colleagues, but now reality threatened to draw him back into the depths of the corporate world he had momentarily risen above. John. Emma's gentle voice cut through his thoughts. He looked up to find her standing close, concern etched in her features. Her eyes were a blend of curiosity and worry, pulling him back from the edge of panic. I just got some messages, he stammered, trying to gather his thoughts while fighting to suppress the wave of dread creeping in. It looks like the investor might pull out. Everything we've built is at risk. Emma took a step closer, the determination in her small frame was unexpected yet reassuring. You can fix this, John. You've already started something amazing today. Remember that. Her words grounded him. This little girl was right. He had just inspired a room full of colleagues to think beyond themselves. This was no time to revert to his old self. He swallowed hard, mustering every ounce of confidence left in him. Before he could reply, a colleague named Mark stepped into the discussion, running a hand through his hair. John, we need to act fast. If we lose this investor, we might not be able to float this arts program. What if we reach out directly? Emma jumped in, her mind racing through ideas. Show them what this support means. Share your vision. The program is about people, our community. Show them we're not just about numbers. A spark lit in John's chest. Yes. Let us organize a meeting. We'll showcase the plans, involve some of the artists who would benefit from this program, he replied, the panic fading into resolve. As murmurs of agreement spread through the group, John turned to Emma, gratitude swelling within him. You really think it can work? Absolutely. You inspired everyone. If we harness that energy, we can make them see what this program could mean for so many, she said, her voice unwavering. A quiet agreement settled over the room, the chaos of the past moments replaced by a newfound focus. The team sprang into action, buzzing with excitement as they organized in small groups, each person fueled by purpose. John felt a sense of community strengthen amongst them, a reminder of the very message he stood up for. Every face reflected a shared commitment. He could feel their anticipation, and it began to wash over him like a wave. As plans were sketched out, ideas exchanged, John couldn't shake the feeling that they were onto something bigger than individual pursuits. This wasn't simply about saving face anymore, it was about creating a ripple effect that could inspire change. But doubt nagged at him still. What if they failed? What if this wildly ambitious idea fell flat? John. Linda's voice interrupted his spiral of negativity. We need to mobilize now. Can you prepare a presentation for tomorrow? Yes, I can do that. His voice rang with determination. As the room buzzed with collaboration, John caught Emma's eye again. She smiled, her belief in him shining bright. Just then, a lingering thought struck him like a bolt of lightning. What if their meeting didn't just persuade the investor but transformed the way they all did business forever? This was his chance, but could he sustain it? With the clock ticking and uncertain moments ahead, John knew it wasn't just a presentation anymore. It was a test of heart, resilience, and belief. What would happen when the moment of truth arrived? Would it be the beginning of a revolution in the company or just another failed attempt? As the sun dipped low, casting golden rays through the windows of the conference room, John sat alone at the long table, surrounded by empty chairs. The noise of the bustling office faded into a distant hum as he pored over his notes. His heart thumped in his chest, each beat reminding him of the weight he carried. The clock ticked loudly, amplifying the tension in the room. He stared at the screen, thinking about the presentation that could either make or break everything. This wasn't just about the investor. It was a lifeline for the community, the artists, and for himself. He caught himself chewing on the edge of his pen, a nervous habit he thought he'd left behind. Suddenly, there was a soft knock on the door. John looked up to see Emma peeking in, her face bright and eager. Can I come in? Of course. He replied, motioning for her to join him. She bounded in, her enthusiasm palpable, and it was contagious. I had an idea. She exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. What if you started the presentation with a story? A real one about someone who benefited from the program? A real person, not just numbers. John raised an eyebrow, curious about whom she might have in mind. That's a great idea, Emma. But do you have someone in particular? Yeah. I remember Mr. Thompson from last year's art show. He was so happy when he got a chance to showcase his work. And his story inspired so many. Her conviction lit a spark in John's heart. That's brilliant. Sharing a story like that would connect us to them. Make it real, John said, feeling a rush of hope surging through him. The idea of weaving together real lives and their impact turned his nerves into anticipation. Exactly. You have to show them the faces behind the numbers. Show them what we can achieve together. She said, bouncing on her feet, her tenacity ignited something in John. As he quickly jotted down the key points, he felt the burden on his shoulders ease just a little. He glanced at his watch. There was no time to lose. "Let us go find Mr. Thompson," he said, rising to his feet. Emma beamed as they rushed out into the corridor together, energy pulsing between them. The two traversed through the maze of offices until they found Mr. Thompson in the art studio, surrounded by vibrant canvases, paint splattered across his apron. His face lit up at the sight of them. "Mr. Thompson." John called out, excitement in his voice. "We're working on the presentation for tomorrow, and I'd love for you to share your experience with us." "Oh, I'd be honored," Mr. Thompson replied, wiping his hands and stepping closer. "Art saved my life. I want to tell you all about how it changed everything for me." As they settled down with him, John's heart swelled. Hearing Mr. Thompson's story was like finding a treasure. His passion, his struggles, and ultimately his triumph resonated deeper than any statistic could. Emma listened intently, her eyes sparkling with inspiration. John felt a pang of urgency. They had to ensure this story reached the investor. It was a perfect arc of hope, change, and community, and he was determined to make it shine. Hours passed as they collaborated to summarize Mr. Thompson's journey, and soon John was racing back to refine his presentation. Emma's belief in him, and Mr. Thompson's tale, fortifying his resolve. As he rehearsed in front of the mirror, he noticed the flicker of doubt that still lingered. What if the investor didn't connect with the emotional appeal? What if they failed to save the program? Doubts clouded his thoughts again. But just as the worry began to creep in, he recalled Emma's words, her smile, and Mr. Thompson's unyielding spirit. That was the essence of what they were fighting for, the idea that people could connect, inspire, and uplift one another. As he finished preparing, the night was fading into a quiet stillness, and he couldn't shake the feeling that the moment of truth was closer than ever. Would the investor see the potential for transformation? Would they be swayed by the power of stories? John took a deep breath and closed his eyes, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. After all, there was more at stake than numbers on a page. What awaited him at the meeting would define not only the program but perhaps the very future of their organization. Would they be driven by fear or hope? The dawn of the next day held endless possibility, but would that dawn bring light or shadow? John woke up with the sun spilling through the blinds, illuminating the room with a soft golden glow. For a moment, he simply lay there, allowing the warmth to seep in and replacing the cold dread of early morning jitters. Last night, he had rehearsed over and over again, yet the lump in his throat remained, a constant reminder of what was at stake. Rubbing the sleep from his eyes, he pulled himself out of bed and dressed quickly. The meeting felt like a freight train barreling down the tracks, and he was firmly tied to the tracks, unable to escape its approach. As he made his way to the office, he tried to focus on the stories that would soon pour forth from his lips, stories of dreams, of struggles, and of hope. When he arrived, the team was already buzzing with activity. Emma was at her desk, weaving through reports, but she paused to catch his eye. There was an intensity about her today, a knowing smile that somehow comforted him. "You ready for this?" she asked, genuine concern etched on her face. "I'll be okay," John replied, though he wasn't sure if he believed it or not. "Just remember Mr. Thompson's story. It's about passion. Life. Connection," she reminded him, and that flicker of confidence ignited again. It was time to share not just numbers, but lives. As the clock ticked closer to the meeting time, he glanced around the conference room. There were chairs set in a semicircle, each one meant to accommodate the investor and their team. His hands grew clammy, and he took a deep breath, soaking in the atmosphere, the pressure, the hopes, and the heartaches. The door swung open, and in walked the investor, a tall figure with an air of authority. John's heart raced. He looked over at Emma, who gave him a reassuring nod. This was it. John stood up, steadied his breath, and began. "Thank you all for being here today. I want to ask you to envision something for a moment." He paused, gauging their expressions, knowing that this was about to be raw and real. As he spoke, he wove Mr. Thompson's journey into his narrative. How art transformed his life, how it became an anchor in turbulent waters. John's words painted vivid images, He could see the enraptured faces of his colleagues, and the investor's brow began to furrow with a mixture of contemplation and intrigue. "We aren't just seeking funding. We're seeking to change lives," John insisted. "Mr. Thompson's story embodies the hope we are trying to cultivate in our community. Just like him, there are countless others waiting to thrive." He felt the energy shift in the room. But just as he was building momentum, a voice cut through the air. "That's all inspiring, but, can you put a number on that passion?" For a moment, John's heart plummeted. Could this person, with their structured thinking, really capture the essence of what he was trying to convey? Just then, a small voice piped up from the back of the room. It was Emma. "Think of it this way," she said, her voice steady yet impassioned. "Can you put a price on a child's smile? Or the joy of an artist's exhibition that inspires the next generation? If we can invest in lives, we'll yield more than profits, we'll yield hope." A hush fell over the room as her words echoed in the air. John looked at her. She had taken a bold step, and her courage resonated deeply. It reminded him of why they were here in the first place. As the discussion progressed, ideas flowed and connections forged. They discussed numbers, yes, but most importantly they held on to that thread of humanity. The potential for change, the power of community, it all lit up in their conversation. By the end of the meeting, John felt lighter, freer. They had tackled doubts and fears together. As they wrapped up, the investor nodded, appearing thoughtful. "I'll need to review this," they said. "But I'm intrigued." Walking out of the room, John flashed a grateful smile at Emma. "Incredible. You saved me in there." "Not me," she said, a twinkle in her eye. "It was all about the story. We're just getting started." John's heart quickened, the spark of possibility was alive. Would they take the leap? Could they turn this hope into a tangible outcome? Outside, the sun had risen high, casting a bright light on the day ahead. Little did John know, the true test was yet to come. Would they rally the community to show the investor that hope was not a soft metric, but a solid foundation for a venture? As he stepped outside, the promise of the future shimmered, but the shadows of uncertainty lingered. Would they rise together, or would silence return? As the sunlight poured over the city, John felt an unexpected surge of energy. The meeting had gone better than he had hoped. Emma's words echoed in his mind, wrapping around his heart like a warm embrace. But the warmth faded quickly. The reality of what lay ahead pressed on him, heavier than before. How could he transform that enthusiasm into action? "John." Emma's voice broke through his thoughts. He turned to see her rushing toward him, her expression bright with excitement. "You won't believe what I just heard. The investor's assistant is saying they want to meet with us again next week." "Really?" John couldn't help but smile. "That's amazing." But his voice trailed off, doubt creeping back in. Emma placed a hand on his shoulder, steady and sure. "This is our chance to show them that we're serious. We need to get the community involved in something tangible." As they walked down the street, John's mind turned over Emma's suggestion. Involving the community could show the investors exactly what their vision could create. But how? What could they put together in such a short time? "Maybe we could host an event," he mused aloud. "Something that showcases local artists. We could invite families, kids, anyone passionate about creativity. A festival or something." Emma's eyes lit up. "That's it. A community arts festival. We could bring together those stories we've been talking about." The thought ignited a fire in John. Working together to set up the festival would allow them to embody the very essence of what they were pitching. It would be a visual testament to the power of passion and connection. Gathering future artists, musicians, and performers could be the heartbeat of their proposal. This could be more than just a pitch, it could become a movement. "Okay, let us do it," John said, confidence building with each word. As they rushed back to the office to plan, ideas flowed like water. They would secure a venue, gather materials, and rally volunteers. The whole team joined in, their excitement palpable. Everyone contributed, from Emma brainstorming ideas for invitations to John reaching out to local artists. The energy buzzed through the air, lifting their spirits. Later, John stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. He looked down the bustling street, and beneath the shifting energy of the city, he felt the first threads of genuine hope. But just as he began to believe they could pull this off, his phone buzzed angrily in his pocket. He pulled it out to find a message from Mr. Thompson, the very man whose story had inspired all of this. "John, I heard about the festival. I have to talk to you. Something important has come up. I'm worried." A chill ran down John's spine. What could have possibly happened to him now? The fears he thought he had buried deep began to resurface. What if this festival couldn't showcase hope? If the very emblem of that hope was struggling? He rushed back inside, heart pounding. Emma noticed, her brow furrowing with concern. "What's wrong? Mr. Thompson, I need to find out what is going on." With every heartbeat, John felt the stakes of the festival surge higher. It wasn't just about numbers anymore, it was about real lives. Could they transform the hearts of many? And would Mr. Thompson's situation threaten everything they were building? He had to face the storm that loomed over the festival. Would their dream survive the harsh reality, or would it crumble before it even began? The answers felt more urgent than ever, and John knew he couldn't turn back now. John stood in the office, the warm hum of excitement fading into an uneasy silence. The bright flicker of his phone screen still illuminated the worry etched into his features. Emma's voice faded back as he retreated into his thoughts, heart racing that he couldn't shake the weight of that message. Mr. Thompson was more than an inspirational figure, he was the connection to the community, a bridge between their dreams and the realities they faced. What could be important enough for him to reach out now? John rubbed his temples, trying to push through the confusion. "Hey, John." Emma interrupted, pulling him from his reverie. "Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I just got a message from Mr. Thompson," he stammered, the words tumbling out. "He needs to talk," says he's worried. Emma's face turned serious. "Worried? About what? Do you think it's about the festival?" "I don't know. But whatever it is, it feels bigger than us." John sighed, uncertainty gnawing at him. "We can't just ignore it. We need him on our side for this festival to truly mean something." Emma nodded, her determination shining through. "Then let us meet him. We can't let fear dictate our course. If anything, we need to understand what is going on." They stepped out of the office, the bustling city wrapping around them in its chaotic rhythm. John felt a knot tightening in his stomach. The festival was a lifeline, a chance to lift spirits and ignite hope. But if Mr. Thompson was in trouble, that spark felt suddenly fragile. A quick drive across town brought them to Mr. Thompson's modest apartment building. The parade of colors from the street vendors contrasted sharply with the gray walls enclosing Thompson's home. John and Emma climbed the stairs, the sound of their footsteps echoing with an urgency that made his heart race. As they reached his door, John took a deep breath. He raised his hand to knock, but hesitation lingered. What if what they found inside changed everything? What if hope slipped from their fingers? "John!" Emma whispered, urging him to go on. He knocked, the sound hollow in the heavy air. Moments felt like hours until the door creaked open, revealing Mr. Thompson's tired but warm smile. "John, Emma, thank you for coming." His voice shook slightly, a blend of relief and apprehension flashing across his face. "What is going on?" John asked, his voice almost a whisper. Mr. Thompson stepped aside, inviting them in. The room was small but filled with photos of a life well lived, memories stitched together in snapshots. "I have something important to share, it relates to the festival." As he settled into the worn armchair, John felt a sense of foreboding. Emma perched on the edge of her seat, eyes locked on Mr. Thompson as he gathered his thoughts. I've recently learned about some challenges facing the youth in our community, he began slowly. And it hit me hard. This festival could do more than just showcase talent, it could be a lifeline, but I fear it may not be enough without the right support and resources. John's heart sank. Could this festival truly hold the weight of the world? Emma reached out, squeezing his hand tightly. It was reassurance, a reminder that they were in this together. Mr. Thompson, we want to help. We're committed to making this festival happen, she stood up for both of them. But we need to know how we can reach those kids. How can we provide them with what they really need? The older man leaned forward. Recruit the right people, those who can actually make a difference. A little girl I met last week told me how artists inspired her, how they filled her with hope, that's the spark. We need to harness that. John exchanged a glance with Emma. The connection was there, an unspoken agreement. I understand, John replied, his voice steady despite the whirlwind in his chest. We'll find a way, Mr. Thompson. Together. Mr. Thompson smiled, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. But as he spoke, the heaviness in his voice hinted at a deeper concern. There's something else. There are bigger forces at play that could derail this festival. John's mind raced. If Mr. Thompson was worried, what did that mean for their vision? The deeper nature of the challenge began to dawn on him. What if this was only the beginning of the storm, and just outside, the sun reached its zenith, casting sharp shadows over the city? Would they be able to turn those shadows into light, or would darkness descend before their dreams could take flight? The air in the small apartment seemed to thicken with uncertainty as Mr. Thompson's words hung like a storm cloud overhead. John shifted in his seat, feeling the pulse of tension. Bigger forces? What do you mean? He asked, searching Thompson's features for answers. Thompson sighed, his gaze drifting to the photographs lining the walls. I didn't want to worry you unnecessarily, but there are concerns about funding and support. Some powerful groups see this festival as a threat to their influence. They're more interested in controlling the narrative than uplifting our kids. Why would they? Emma interjected, her brows knitting in confusion. It's just a festival. On the surface, Thompson replied, his voice low. But it represents change, growth. It's a chance for the youth to express themselves and find their voices in a world that often tries to silence them. Change like that can be frightening for those in power. Emma looked at John, her eyes wide. So, what can we do? If they're against us? Mr. Thompson's face softened. This is why it's so vital to build a coalition, gather allies within the community. Artists, parents, teachers, everyone who sees the power in what we're trying to achieve. We need to show them that our community is stronger together. John felt a growing sense of purpose. They had made a pledge to uplift their community, and now it felt more crucial than ever. We can start by reaching out to the local artists and activists. Building momentum might scare them off, he said, his heart racing with excitement as he started to envision a plan. But how do we keep the kids safe? Emma added, her voice a blend of determination and anxiety. If they're targeting the festival, we can't put anyone at risk. Mr. Thompson nodded, his expression serious. We'll have to be cautious. Perhaps we could organize smaller, informal gatherings first. Create connections without the spotlight. Safety in numbers. As they discussed ideas, the weight of the challenge ahead began to feel less daunting. There was a spirit of resilience that filled the room, igniting something within them. They weren't just fighting for a festival, they were fighting for the hopes and dreams of the youth they cherished. Let us do this, John said, the conviction in his voice steady. For them, we must. Emma smiled, the warmth of shared purpose washing away the tension. We have to show them that each of those kids has a voice worth hearing. But just as their spirits began to lift, Thompson's phone buzzed on the table. He picked it up, the smile evaporating from his face. It's a message from the city council, they're questioning the festival's permit. It's starting already. John felt his heart drop, the dread creeping back in. We need to act fast, he said, adrenaline coursing through him. We can't let them shut us down before we even begin. Agreed, Emma said, standing tall. Let us rally as many people as we can. We'll make this festival not just a dream, but reality. Together. As they formulated their game plan, a sense of urgency took hold of the group. Would they be able to unite the community against the looming threat? That evening, John stood on the street corner, the fading sun a reminder of the urgency they faced. He watched as families filled the streets, laughter echoing through the air. The festival could bring joy, but it was also a beacon of resistance. His phone buzzed again, this time with a text from an old friend. I heard about the festival. We should meet. I have someone who can help. Hope sparked within him again, but it quickly collided with apprehension. Who was this mysterious person? In this critical moment, could they face the shadows lurking behind their dreams? John took a deep breath and glanced at Emma, who stood ready beside him. Together, they faced the city, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. But doubt lingered in the air. Who could they really trust in this fight for hope? The next morning, John woke up with a fire in him. He rifled through his notes, looking for inspiration. The pressure from the city council felt heavy, like a rain cloud just waiting to burst. Emma was already up, thumbing through a list on her phone. I've reached out to a few artists and parents, she said, a slight smile breaking through her earlier worry. Some are eager to help. It's a start. Even in dawn's early light, the world outside felt chaotic. Umber clouds loomed overhead, but John could see a ray of sunshine fighting to break through. He chose to focus on that glimmer of hope. Let us meet at the community center today. We can get everyone on board. We can't let this festival slip from our grasp. As they walked through the neighborhood, the air crackled with possibility. People greeted them warmly, some even asking about the festival. The conversations were light, peppered with laughter, but beneath it all was an undercurrent of fear and uncertainty. When they reached the community center, John breathed in deep. The space felt both familiar and foreign, like the beginning of a long race. As they entered, he noticed a small girl sitting by herself in a corner, sketching intently on a notepad. Her hair was messy, totally absorbed in her world of colors and shapes. He felt a spark of inspiration just watching her commit to her passion with such abandon. Hey there, John said softly, kneeling to meet her gaze. What are you working on? She looked up, eyes bright. It's for the festival. I want to make a big sign that says everyone's voice matters. John's heart swelled. Here was this little girl pouring her heart into an idea, already embodying the message they were fighting for. It reminded him just how important this was. He exchanged a glance with Emma, who seemed to share in the joy of the moment. Do you think you'd like to come help us share that message with everyone? John asked. Yeah. She beamed, her cheeks flushed with enthusiasm. Feeling invigorated, John stood and turned to Emma, who raised an eyebrow knowingly. Let us channel this energy. We can use her sign as a symbol. It could be the rallying point for our group. Something that speaks to the heart of why we're doing this. Minutes later, the community room filled with familiar faces, moms with tired eyes clutching babies, artists with paint-splattered clothes, and dads looking determined. The buzz of energy was contagious. As John shared their vision, the anxiety of the city council felt distant, replaced by a sense of solidarity. The little girl stepped forward, pointing at her drawing. We need to tell them why it matters. Cheers erupted in response. Hope swirled in the air like a warm breeze, each voice a link in the chain they were forming. But just as they rallied together, a harsh voice broke through the laughter. A council member, stern and resolute, stood at the entrance. I've seen a gathering here today and want to remind you this festival may not happen if you can't prove it safe. The mood shifted, the room went silent. John's heart sank. Were they already facing resistance when they hadn't even begun? Then the little girl stepped forward, clutching her notepad tightly. We're not just kids. We have things to say. If we don't get to show what we can do, who will? Why shouldn't we be heard? Her small voice rang out with unexpected clarity. Did they have what it took to turn this into a movement? Could one brave heart spark the fire they needed? As the tension thickened, and eyes turned to John and Emma, he felt the weight of the moment. Were they truly prepared for the fight ahead? With one final glance at the girl, he knew they had to stand strong. What if she was right? What could they build together if they faced the council with strength? John swallowed hard, the tension settling like a heavy fog in the room. He glanced at Emma, whose eyes sparkled with determination, mirroring the fierce spirit of the little girl who had just spoken. "You're right," he said, stepping back into the light. "We need to stand together. The festival isn't just about celebration, it's about the very voices and dreams we're fighting to uplift." A wave of murmurs surged through the community members, some nodding, others whispering encouragement. A sense of unity filled the atmosphere, each heartbeat synchronizing with a bold resolve. "We're here to prove that the arts can empower us, lift us up from despair, and forge lasting connections. Those young voices hold stories that deserve to be shared." John continued, feeling a surge of adrenaline. Emma stepped closer to him, her presence a beacon of hope. They were in this together. The council member looked unyielding, but John pressed on. "This festival will create a platform for expression, a sanctuary for young artists to showcase their talents and tell their stories. We're not just seeking to entertain, we're working to inspire change in our community." The little girl raised her hand again, her eyes filled with passion. "What if we write letters to the council? Show them we're serious?" A light flickered in John's heart. "That's brilliant. Let us organize letter-writing sessions with the community. Let them express their hopes and fears, and we'll present those as proof of the value this festival holds." A ripple of excitement spread through the room as people began brainstorming and discussing ways to rally support. Ideas flowed like water, and soon they turned their focus to empowering the youth. As they huddled together, John's phone buzzed in his pocket again. He quickly grabbed it, scanning a message that popped up from the investor. "Let us talk next week. I want to support you." A mix of relief and exhilaration surged through him. Their dreams were gaining momentum, but with that excitement came a heavy realization. What if all of this, the festival, the voices, the stories, were still not enough to overcome the shadows looming over their aspirations? As the door closed behind the council member, Emma stood confidently at the front, rallying everyone together. "Let us organize a community art fair next weekend. Let us gather our young artists. The festival needs to breathe life into what it represents." Her voice carried a weight of promise, igniting inspiration in everyone present. Plans unfolded at lightning speed, energy electrifying the air. They divided into small groups, calling volunteers to participate, drawing in local artists, families, and friends. Sketchbooks and paintbrushes emerged from bags and pockets, each person fueled by a shared mission. John watched in awe. From chaos came creativity. The spark ignited by a little girl's dream had set off a wildfire of hope. The next week arrived, and the atmosphere pulsed with anticipation. Local banners hung proudly in the community center, colors painting smiles on every face. Word had spread, a coalition of allies united under a banner heralding positivity and change. As the festival approached, John found comfort in the steady rhythm of collective determination. They transformed anxieties into action, finding allies at every turn. Artists, parents, even local businesses stepped up, showcasing their support. Finally, the day of the festival dawned bright and clear. The air buzzed with laughter and the vibrant energy of music. The soft sounds of paintbrushes on canvas filled the space, a kaleidoscope of emotions swirling around. John stepped back, taking it all in. Laughter echoed, joy rippled through the crowd, and at that moment, he felt a tug at his heart. A wave of gratitude washed over him. Emma was running to a crowd of creative kids, directing them to set up their art, energy radiating from her. "John!" Emma yelled, rushing back. "We have our first attendees." He turned to see families coming in, eyes wide with excitement. It was happening, they were building something truly special, just. Then, as he waved to families, a hush fell over the crowd, and all eyes turned to the stage. A group of children prepared to perform their skit about community and support. As they took the stage, John felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. Remember, everyone's voice matters. The little girl's words rang out, a testament to their fight. Amid laughter, tears, and pride, John knew deep within him that this moment was about more than success or failure. It was about transforming lives, igniting hope, and fostering connection in a world that often tried to silence the innocent. They had not only saved the arts program, they had rekindled the essence of everything he had once lost: a sense of community, purpose, and love. As the festival bloomed, and music filled the air, John smiled, radiant. He turned to Emma, the embodiment of hope, and enveloped her in a hug. "You did this," he whispered, his voice trembling with gratitude. "You inspired everything." Once a lonely CEO, he was now a bridge of hope, connecting the vibrant dreams of a community with the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The festival was not just an event, it was a movement, a revolution, a testament that if they stood together, they could overcome anything the shadows threw their way. In this moment, John knew he was not just living but truly alive, and as the music blared and laughter erupted around them, he realized this was just the beginning. Now it's your turn to take action. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and make your support count. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It could spark hope in their lives too. Don't wait not even one more second to share the inspiration. Your support means everything to us.